I love you. I'm here with Jeff Lieberman. He is the director and producer of the Amazing Nina Simone documentary.
Right.
Hi, Maestro.
Hey, Maestro.
So, Jeff, what inspired you to make the movie in the first place?
I've been a big lover of Nina Simone for a long, long time. I think I discovered her in high school. And, she's just one of those people who's just epic. She's totally unique, totally stood for everything that she believed in and never backed down. And I just thought those people are very few in this world. And I admired her, and I really felt like as a teenager, as a young man, like she spoke to a lot of the things that I was sort of feeling and thinking. And I just wanted to honor her with this film and tell her story. And I really felt like a lot of people didn't know her story and it needed to be told.
Yeah, that's what interested me, because with Nina being my aunt and everything, I was wondering why no one was bringing to the public how amazing she was.
Right.
I know just recently they did do the documentary What Happened, Miss Simone.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to get a grasp on Nina entirely. And I know in your documentary, you have my Uncle Sam in it, you have band members, you have, ex-lovers, and these are people that knew her from youth all the way up into stardom. Okay, we need to chat about that. Yes. Yes. So, I wanted to introduce him to you guys because I know a lot of you guys don't even know that there's another documentary out there.
Yes.
So how did you feel?
Nina
right.
Simone.
It's the Amazing Nina Simone, not What Happened, Miss Simone, as if something was wrong,
No.
right? No.
She was amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing, which is why she had the title The High Priestess of Soul.
And that's not to say that this isn't a fluff piece that's totally applauding her every move. This is her best moments, her worst moments, and everything in between. But it's a portrayal, as you're saying, from beginning to end. And it's not my story, it's not your story.
Right.
It's everyone's story of Nina Simone.
Right.
Going first to the people who knew her best.
Right.
So that was my intention, and I was sort of disappointed that before my film came out, which came out last year, that there wasn't more honoring of Nina Simone. There wasn't her music and her story being told. And I feel like a lot of people don't know who she is, and it's a shame.
It's true.
And What Happened, Miss Simone, sort of came out with a negative title, and they did a fine film. It's not a bad film, but it's not the complete story.
Right.
And I really wanted to tell everything.
Right.
And there were things left out of that film that I thought were really important. Nina was so many things, and she had a white husband before she ever, married her husband and manager, Andy Stroud.
Ooh, a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, and I thought a biracial relationship, an interracial relationship in the late 1950s, early 60s is pretty remarkable.
Right.
The other film didn't really talk about her bisexuality. Which is like a big part of who she was too.
Exactly.
So, there were elements, and just beyond that, like For Women and a lot of her other songs that really needed to be, the story behind those songs needed to be told.
Right.
So that's what this film is about.
Exactly. So, guys, do you guys have any questions for Jeff? What interested me was when you said that your film kind of touches base on the things that were left out in the other documentary. What things, besides what you just mentioned, her being married to a Caucasian male at first and her being bisexual, what other things do you think got left out in the movie?
Left out of the other movie.
The other one, yeah.
Well, they stopped Nina's story in basically the mid to late 80s, and Nina lived another 15 years after that. And they weren't the best years of her life,
right?
But they were a time when she was still performing, and people who may have seen Nina may have seen her in that period.
Right.
That's when I saw Nina, and I wanted to know more about that concert that I saw in 2000. Why was she still performing? Who was she with? And
where can we find the documentary Jeff made?
You can go to AmazingNina.com. That's the website where you can find out all the information about it. It's in theaters now. It's coming back into more theaters in April. And
hi, Demi, we're well.
Hi. And you can also purchase the DVD online. It's going to be available for streaming in April. But just back to the last 15 years of Nina's life, I feel like they're even more important to tell now that the biopic with Zoe Saldana is coming out.
How do you feel about that? Since you brought it up, how do you feel about
I feel
the biopic with Zoe Saldana playing Nina Simone?
Well, had I not talked about those last 15 years of her life, I would never have been able to tell the real events that happened in that period, which is the only period that Nina, the biopic Nina, focuses on, which is unbelievably surprising to me that they would choose this really sad time in Nina's life. She was an older woman, she was in her 60s, you know, she was not having the best care, she was sort of being manipulated by people who were working for her. Not people, one person.
One person.
Sorry.
Who was that person?
Clifton Henderson.
Clifton Henderson.
Who, you know, I'm sure had good intentions when he first started with Nina, but several of her friends and several of her band members, you know, came to the conclusion that he was not giving her the best care. He was frequently not there. He was an alcoholic. He took over the management of her career and took large percentages, and basically isolated her from her family and friends. And now, you know, it was good that he wrote his story, and this Hollywood film has now taken that and sort of perverted it into something it wasn't. They made it into a love affair between the two of them.
Right.
He was a gay man.
He was a gay man, guys.
Yeah.
They did not have a love affair.
No.
Just hashtag that.
They were very close. They were good friends. Nina, I don't think, had a problem with his sexuality. I mean, she was bisexual herself, as we talked about. But they were not lovers. And to turn that story into something else is wrong. And then to portray Nina, you know, 40 years or maybe 20 years younger than she actually was at the time.
Right,
was also bizarre to me. And then I don't need to talk about the makeup and prosthetics.
The makeup and the prosthetics, man. That was insane, okay? I think it's disrespectful.
Yeah.
To me, like, I feel like it's disrespectful for them to take someone that was so amazing, so great, so impactful, and someone that fought really hard for civil rights issues, you know? Someone that got censored, whose music didn't all the way reach the heights that she was supposed to reach, all because of her strong belief in equality and rights.
Yeah. For
them to take someone that's of lighter skin and to put darker makeup on and a fake nose, it totally disregards everything that Nina stood for.
Yeah. You could maybe get away with a portrayal of someone whose blackness didn't really fit into their overall story.
Right.
Maybe. I'm not saying that's possible. That's totally possible. But with Nina, she talked about how her dark skin was affected so much of her entire life, her career, her romances, her loves, the way she was perceived in society, and coupled on top of the fact that light-skinned actors have always been favored in Hollywood, going back to like the early days of Hollywood. You know, it's just such a blatant finger in the eye. And then the blackface makeup is also like, you know, sort of so ignorant to like blackface portrayal and racist portrayals. And it's just so wrong on so many levels.
It's wrong, especially when there's actresses that could have played her.
Yes.
I was just about to ask your thoughts on Zoe Saldana. Thanks for sharing your view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Zoe's a great actress.
Me too.
I think she was wrong in accepting this role.
Yes, I do.
I love Nina Simone as much as Zoe might, but I know I'm not right for the role. So just because you're an accomplished actor, which I'm not, but just because you love Nina and you're an accomplished actor and you happen to be of the same race, it's not a big deal. You can play the part.
Right.
I sort of been giving the example of like Monique is also a black actress. She wouldn't have been right for this role either.
Right.
Keke Palmer, she's a great actress too.
Right.
Not right either.
Right.
So just because you're black and an actor doesn't mean.
And I mean, come on, man. Nina had so much reverence, so much power. Her presence when she walked in the room, she didn't have to say anything. It was her essence, her way of being. If you can't embody that, then you shouldn't play her.
Right.
And I think, like he said, Zoe Saldana is a great actress. She's beautiful. From what I've seen in interviews, she has a good heart. But that essence that would make someone say, hey, you are the high priestess of soul, like that thing, where someone can look at you and feel healing and light.
Yeah.
Not so much. Zoe doesn't really have that.
And Nina Simone means a lot to a lot of people, especially to a lot of black women who feel like they've never been represented in the media to the same degree as, you know, lighter skinned actresses, singers, models, dancers, that kind of thing. So it's really like pushing a very sensitive issue. It's just being totally ignorant of what Nina Simone means to people.
I'm sorry, guys. Can you guys hear us? Because I know the buses are going by. Remember, we are in Harlem, New York right now. So it's loud. It's a little loud.
Yeah.
We're sitting outside of the Red Rooster. If you haven't heard of that place, look it up.
Marcus Samuelson just walked by. He said hi.
Yes. I'm a huge fan of Zoe, but wasn't the right choice. She wasn't the right choice. I love her too. I loved her in Avatar. Man, I mean, I thought she did great. You know what I mean?
They could hear us.
Yes. Perfect. Thank you.
And you know what? I think Zoe should be taken to task for it too, because she made a choice and she read the script. No actor would take this part without reading the script. I read the script 4 years ago too, and I was horrified by it. Like the champagne bottles and the, you know, the film opens up with her, at least in the script, being tied down. Nina Simone being tied down
to the hospital bed.
In a hospital bed. And like that's not the Nina Simone that we need to honor. That's not what makes her interesting.
No.
It would be a fascinating story if Nina hadn't, you know, had civil rights stands in the 1960s. She hadn't gotten on stage at Carnegie Hall in 1963 at 31 years old and said, "Mississippi, goddamn."
Yes, at Carnegie Hall.
I mean, her accomplishments are so tremendous, and to focus on her mental illness in an insensitive way at the end of her life, it's just so wrong. Yeah.
It's like, come on, couldn't we have documented the things that Jeff just talked about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what about that? What about the stuff that back in those days when there was, you know, segregation and the civil rights movement was going on, what about documenting stuff that they censored then?
Yeah.
Like, why not tell the public now the stuff that we couldn't talk about back then?
Yeah, and it's a far more interesting story, I guarantee you. Like, people who have seen The Amazing Nina Simone are, like, fascinated by Nina's journey. I mean, she really, like, faced so much obstacle in her desire to be a musician, a singer, a pianist. You know, she was trained as a classical pianist and thought that she was going to go to the classical stage. She was at Juilliard for a summer. She didn't get into Curtis Institute. That changed her entire life. She found a new calling as a singer by accident. She got into jazz and folk, and you know, she hung out with Langston Hughes and Lorraine Hansberry and Jimmy Baldwin and like got schooled right here in the streets of Harlem. Like blocks away from here was Langston Hughes' house.
Wow.
She was down in the village, you know. She was just meeting all these fantastic heroes, and we should be celebrating like
that.
Yes.
Celebrating that.
Yeah. It puzzles my mind that like we can't.
Wow, that's
it is dope. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. So we're about to sign off, but we do have time for a few questions. So if you have a question to ask Jeff, he is the director and producer of the Amazing Nina Simone documentary. So if you have a quick question, we would love to answer it for you. If not, we will be signing off soon. And let him tell you. Yep.
I was going to say, I want to, you know, we're not sitting back and letting the controversy over Nina just sort of slide. We're going head to head against the film in April, and a lot of cinemas and theaters and schools and museums have sort of embraced this idea and are offering The Amazing Nina Simone as an alternative to that other film and bringing it to their city. So we're going to be in Denver and Chicago and Key West, Tallahassee and Oakland, and we hope that, you know, you'll help get involved and bring the film to your city too, and tell the real story of Nina Simone, which needs to be told.
Yes. What do you hope your documentary will do for raising awareness of Nina's legacy?
Great question. I think hopefully as you see the film, you will realize that, you know, all these bold stands that Nina took for civil rights, for freedom, for her own self, for other people, that we can do this too. You know, she was talking about Black Lives Matter 50 years ago, and hopefully we can recognize that, carry on her message, and recognize our sheroes and heroes and the people who like stood up for us, and you know, introduce a younger generation to her music too.
Yes.
Young, gifted, and black Black, she wrote as an anthem. You know, she
Young,
wanted people to feel inspired. Yeah,
that's where it's at.
That's where it's at. And you don't just have to be Black to acknowledge that. I mean, Nina like transcends race and gender and nationality. She's loved in Japan and Europe and Australia and Canada, where I'm from, and I grew up on her music. Like, she's a big secret, really.
A big secret. So are you guys going to tell the world this big secret? Because they need to know it.
Yes.
They need to know that there's a documentary out there called The Amazing Nina Simone. One that the family actually supports, guys.
Yes.
Okay? Supporting this documentary, you are supporting Nina and her legacy, because we support this documentary. My Uncle Sam has been directly aligned and a part of it. If you look at the articles that TMZ threw up, there's a few of these blog sites that threw up these articles about the family's perspective on Zoe Saldana playing Nina Simone. And in those articles, they actually say we don't support the film, the biopic.
Right.
Where Zoe Saldana is playing it, but we do support this documentary, The Amazing Nina Simone, that has been done by Jeff Lieberman.
And you know, Sam Wayman, Nina's brother and your uncle, and I met 4 years ago to talk about the biopic, and we said we need to do something. When this film comes out, we need to make sure that the true story is available. And so, luckily we had the foresight to know this, and we've been working our butts off to track down all the people who were in Nina's life, 50 of them, more than 50 really, and the film is now done and ready to be seen, and we hope that maybe you'll watch all 3 films, maybe you'll choose one film. If you're going to choose one, I would suggest The Amazing Nina Simone.
Yes, yes. If you're going to choose one, choose The Amazing Nina Simone. And where can they find you again?
It's at AmazingNina.com.
AmazingNina.com, guys. AmazingNina.com. Follow our posts. Follow this. Please share this. Share this with your friends. Post it on your Facebook. Share it on your Twitter pages. And help me out. If you are in LA area and you know anyone that's connected to movie theaters, we are working to get the film in LA, okay? We're working to get the film, The Amazing Nina Simone documentary, in LA. So if you have any connections, write me on Facebook. It's the same name that you see on Periscope, and then same name on Twitter, same name on Instagram as well. We love you guys. The Amazing Nina Simone documentary. AmazingNina.com. All right. Bye.